Hey guys, welcome to Reality Check. I'm Huang Jiyuan and I have a question. What do you look for when you buy a car? The brand, perhaps? How it looks? Its performance? The model of the engine? Or simply how much would you need to pay? I think for a lot of us, it is a combination of everything mentioned above or more. You pick the ones you value most, compare them, look at the price, then bang, you make a decision. That brings us to today's topic, the European Union's probe into China's electric cars.
Fairness in the global economy is so important because it affects lives and livelihoods. Entire industries and communities depend on it. So we have to be clear-eyed about the risks we face. But global markets are now flooded with cheaper Chinese electric cars. And their price is kept artificially low by huge state subsidies. So I can announce today that the Commission is launching an anti-subsidy investigation into electric vehicles coming from China.
So the EU is talking about fairness? Maybe I didn't do enough research or I missed something, but I don't see any EU investigation into Tesla over this. The company received a $456 million preferential loan from the US's Department of Energy in 2010. Through 2020, the cost of Tesla vehicles was reduced by $4,000 to $7,500 due to tax credits. All in all, state and local incentives had amounted to $3 billion. Or maybe, for the European Union, $3 billion doesn't qualify as huge state subsidies. This is not about fairness. It is true that there are many Chinese EVs in the global market. According to the International Energy Agency, 35% of exported electric cars came from China in 2022, up 10% from 2021. Within the last 5 years, the EU's imports of Chinese EVs quadrupled. The EU's own estimate shows that China's share of EVs sold in Europe stands at 8% and could reach 15% by 2025. And the reason is simple. The Chinese do have an advantage here. A recent report published by McKinsey & Company showed that in Europe's automotive industry, the share of the labor force who have a knowledge of software account for 20% maximum. But in the United States and China, that share reaches 45%. Chinese manufacturers have a 20 to 30% advantage when it comes to the production cost of EVs. In contrast, the energy cost for Europe's automotive industry is 2 to 3 times that of the US's and China's. Renault's CEO Luca De Meo said that Europe needs to catch up.
One of the commitments we are taking with Ampere is actually to slash the cost by 40%, generation on generation. And this is about a lot of investment in technology, in development, in the manufacturing techniques. We think we have the argument and the competence to do it. It will take some time because Chinese OEMs, they started a generation before the Europeans because market conditions were different in China.
I particularly like this description by the South China Morning Post. The European Union is scrambling to answer SOS calls from its high-tech industries to fend off the challenge of China's manufacturing juggernauts. You see, what the Europeans are doing is very self-centered. It is about protecting its own industry from being overrun by more able competitors. Particularly, it is about reserving its EV market, which we know will be huge by 2030 and 2035, for its own companies.
Europe has set a course towards electric vehicles only by 2030 and another step in 2035. So we know that 100% of our vehicle sales have to be electric cars by a set date. And of course, all the car makers are scrambling to take a part of that market. As I said, China moved early on electric vehicles. It has some advantages around the technology and the price it can offer that technology at. They are coming hard and they have the hardware to try and win us over.
So that's what von der Leyen's risks were about. The risk of Europe losing its edge on making cars. And maybe by this point you are wondering, what about Tesla? Well, von der Leyen invented de-risking from China. She hasn't said de-risking from the United States yet, has she? So her way to deal with it is to say to the Europeans, look, You may like this Chinese car, it may have great performance, and it is not expensive, but I'm going to impose a tax on it so that you cannot afford it.